from insolvency and bankruptcy to real estate. I would now invite our next panel, Shri Rajive Kumar, Shri Anand Kumar, Shri Krishna Kumar Khandelwal, and Shri Ajay Kumar Kuhar for a session on building confidence, how RERA is transforming India's real estate landscape. A seasoned IS officer, Shri Rajive Kumar is a former chairperson of the Uttar Pradesh Real Estate Regulatory Authority and also former chief secretary of the government of Uttar Pradesh. Shri Anand Kumar is the current chairman of Real Estate Regulatory Authority for Delhi and Chandigarh. He was the secretary to Government of India, heading the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Having worked for over 36 years at various senior positions in the government, both at federal and state levels, and with the United Nations Development Programme in Africa, he has demonstrated extraordinary leadership qualities for managing multicultural organizations with innovative approach and strategic vision. Shri Anand Kumar joins us online in a few moments from now. Dr. Krishna Kumar Khandelwal is the former chairman of the Haryana Real Estate Regulatory Authority in Gurugram. During his 5-year term, he oversaw many accomplishments, including more than 7,000 complaints being resolved. Under his leadership, the authority directed payment of rupees 3,500 crore in delayed compensation charges and ordered refunds in more than 3,000 cases. Shri Ajay Kumar Kuhar, currently a member of Real Estate Regulatory Authority for Delhi and Chandigarh, brings vast legal expertise to his role. Having retired as Special Judge CBI, where he presided over high-profile cases involving MPs and MLAs, he's held several prominent positions in his distinguished career, which includes serving as Special Judge for NDPS under the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, Registrar at the National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, and OST at Delhi Lokayukt. The session will be moderated by Dr. Krishna Kumar Khandelwal. Sir, I would request you to initiate the synoptic discussion by giving us a...
Mr. Khandelwal is not there.
Right.
Thank you very much for the invite, Mr. Chandra. So the topic which we are going to discuss today is very relevant in today's scenario. We all know India is a very growing economy, and urbanization of our country has made the real estate sector more important for the promoters as well as for the buyers. Real estate sector, apart from providing housing, is also important for being the second highest employment generator. So we cannot undermine the utility of this sector. What we have to understand is that before the Real Estate Regulatory Act came into being in 2017, there were a lot of problems in the real estate sector. Primarily, there was no specific law governing the real estate sector. The remedy of the promoter or the buyer were available under the Consumer Protection Act or under this General Civil Law under the Contract Act. There was a lot of malpractices in the system. There was a lot of infusion of black money going into the system and generation of black money as well. The common problem which the home buyers used to face about the diversion of the funds which they deposited with the promoter, and many a time we have seen it that the promoters will divert the money from one project to another project or siphon out the money somewhere. Then there was lack of accountability of the promoters towards the stakeholders like home buyers. Then another issue which was very important was about the delay in delivery of the possessions. Since there was no regulatory mechanism, the promoters were also groping in the dark because there was no mechanism, there was no guidelines for them, there was no charter for them how to go with the real estate project, as everybody was on his own. So that led to delay in construction activities, and there were delay in giving possession of to the home buyers. Then another issue which we used to face was about the contract entered between the promoter and the home buyers. Usually we would see that it used to be a one-sided contract, and all the terms and conditions were in the favor of the promoter. For example, if there was a default clause on the payment, then the home buyers will have to pay about 10%, 15%, 16%. While if there is a delay in possession, giving possession, the interest which the promoter was supposed to pay to the home buyers was 1%, 2%. So these type of anomalies were there before the RERA came into being. Then another confusion which used to exist about the carpet area, super area. Generally, the promoter used to sell the property on the basis of super area. They used to use the expression carpet area, but they never used to sell on the basis of carpet area. And the buyer were actually confused about how much space he has been sold and how much space he has been actually provided with. And another issue was about the real estate agents. There was no regulation on the real estate agents. With the coming of this act, of course, we have provisions for registration of the real estate agents always. So in 2016, this act was passed, Real Estate Regulation Act, Regulation and Development Act 2016. It was implemented from 1st of May 2017. Most of the provisions which are relevant for us were implemented from 1st of May 2017. So post RERA, what we have seen is that lot of transparency have come into the system. The promoters are accountable for the project. They are accountable to the authority. They are accountable to the home buyers as well. The authority, which is constituted under the Act, has to supervise pre-registration and post-registration projects. Then the Act has given protection to the interest of the home buyers. First, all the requirement, all the basic things which are required in the project are made known to the home buyers in advance, and after the completion of the project, the home buyers' interests are protected for the next coming 5 years for any structural defect or any substantial defect. Now, another thing which the Act has ensured is the timely delivery of projects. Although this Act is very new, came into being in 2017, and the project, real estate project has a long gestation period. So how effective it has been regarding the timely delivery of the project is yet to be seen. But we have an impression, yes, that the timeline are being followed. Because being a part of the authority myself, I understand that all the promoters are filing their quarterly progress report, and that gives an opportunity to the authority to supervise the progress every quarter. So this Act has provided an adjudicatory mechanism where the promoter can come and say that, look, this gentleman home buyer is not paying the installment on time, and the home buyers have the remedy to seek refund if there is a delay in project, or there is some other deficiency in the project, or there is a delay and he wants some interest on that delayed possession. So these are the remedies which are provided under the Act. Or any other type of obligation which are on the promoter, if they are not fulfilled, then the home buyers can always approach the authority for redressal of his grievance. So basically, there is a symmetry of information between the promoters and the home buyers now post the RERA Act. So considering that this Act is new and we have to see what effect it has made on the relationship between the promoter and the home buyers. We have noticed certain aspect in this field which raise questions about the effectiveness of the Act. Like though the RERA Act is a comprehensive act, it's a specific legislation, but we have seen that the promoter, when he has to register his project, it takes a considerable time to him to in acquiring various clearances and sanctions from different departments. There are multiple clearances in the multiple departments he has to interact with. That leads to delay. Once the promoter has acquired land, thereafter he starts going visiting different agencies to get the clearances for coming out the real estate project. Ultimately, he lands up with the authority, and authority, after taking into account all the clearances which are required to be taken, then grant the permission for raising construction. So this is one of the issue which we still are looking at, because there can be an option that we can have a single window system, like all the sanctions which are required can be done from a single window system. Like we can have in the authority, we can have all the system in place. So we can look into the environment, we can look into the pollution, we can look into the fire system. So we can think about it, and I will request Rajiv ji to please enlighten us how we can go about this in future. Another aspect which we have noticed is about the extension of the project. You see, whenever there is a registration of project, they give a timeline for completion of the project. But the Act itself provides that this registration can be extended for a certain period. And the maximum is 1 year, but if there is a force measure, then there is no time limit for that. So the question arises, suppose the project is to be completed was in 2024, but there is an extension up to 2025. What happens to the interest of the home buyers for 1 year? Whether he is entitled for getting interest for that particular period or not. So these are the issues which are still haunting the authorities throughout the country. So coming to Rajiv Sarji, sir, RERA is aiming to bring transparency in the transaction and contractual conditions between promoter and buyers. How the authorities have been successful in maintaining this, and do you think RERA has been successful in ensuring the transparency and the symmetry of information between promoters and the buyers? Has RERA been successful in building confidence, and how it has brought change in the real estate sector?
Thank you, Mr. Kuhar. I think there isn't very much for me left, because a very good overview has been given already as far as the RERA Act is concerned. So what I intend doing is, and I see that there are a lot of expectant faces. They have already gone out and seen the lovely lunch being laid out. So in that expectation, my taking too much of time wouldn't be appropriate. Couple of things, starting from the economic side of it. The basic reason of having regulation for this sector was that there was a huge information asymmetry, and there was a market power with the builder, and more importantly, because of the agreements which were so designed, as very rightly pointed out, there was also I would say a post-market kind of influence over the buyer, because once you have given your advance and you have signed on the dotted lines, it used to be a completely one-sided way, and you got stranded with that particular project. So with this economic rationale of having an act, but on the practical side, the kind of a huge pain which buyers of NCR especially and Maharashtra were undergoing during that period, it was the main propelling force for the RERA Act to come into being. It's basically 2017 was the year when all the sections were notified, and we've had a fairly successful kind of journey since then. To be fair, I think I was part of a group where all the chairmen of different RERA used to meet almost every quarter, and we used to exchange notes. So the point and the question which has been raised to me, that the journey of RERAs has been very successful in the states where the pain points were there. And to that extent, I would say a very good foundation was laid by the first chairman of Maharashtra, my dear friend who was also our DG shipping when I was in shipping ministry. Mr. Alok was also with us. He did a pretty good initial work. Maharashtra RERA to that extent did a great job. And when later on UP RERA team was appointed, the first port of call for us was to go to Mumbai and learn from them. UP RERA, I had an excellent team. We were pioneers in a lot of ways, especially using technology. All our work was online. We started e-courts even before COVID hit, and so we were prepared for it. And we took a lot of decisions because at that time 38% of this whole country's cases were in UP. Even presently, we disposed of 40% of the countries. So RERA in quite a few states have done tremendous amount of work, and hats off to those teams. But there have been certain states where because of various reasons, the kind of expectations which RERA had have probably not been fully met. One part which I indicated in my morning brief was that you need to have the right people for manning this particular thing, because unlike other regulators where the clientele is limited or where this is a mass kind of an interaction which you have, and when you hear day in day out the kind of pain which people have undergone, they are paying their EMIs, they are paying their rents, they have to see that there is food on the table, the children have to go to school, and everything has to be met within that salary or salaries. It's extremely painful even from the humanitarian angle. So, three things RERA did. One, a person should have land before you register, and that title or any dispute has to be disclosed. Secondly, you have to disclose whatever information about that project is required to be displayed, which is on the website. So information asymmetry to a certain extent was taken care of. Thirdly, it provided for a model agreement which was much more balanced than what was being dished out earlier, and it was mandatory for this agreement to be signed on this particular model. And lastly, 70% of all the money which was collected has to be deposited in an escrow account only to be used for construction. So for projects which have come after RERA has come into being, their progress has been quite smooth, and our expectation is that most of them would be meeting with their timelines, and that has been the experience. Now, what happened is that especially when Maharashtra and a couple of other states and NCR, there were a large number of projects which were launched between 2007 and between 2014-15, where there were massive issues. That legacy, there was a committee, I was also a member, which was headed by our Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kant, about the stalled projects, went into great details. But the short point is that RERA has done tremendous amount of work in bringing transparency. It has done tremendous amount of work in adjudication of disputes. For example, almost 90% of our cases which were filed were disposed of in UP RERA, and 70% plus was the compliance rate of those orders, because we used to have regular hearings for compliance also. So this is one part where things have gone on well. There are surely issues about compliance in those projects which are stalled, where most of the units have been sold. They were sold at a price which is not possible to complete them at, and there is a cash gap or a gap in the cost of completion vis-a-vis what is available. And I'm not taking of those cases where there has been diversion of funds or there have been other mishaps, miscalculations. They launched a project, only 20% could be sold. Obviously, you can't complete a project with 20% of the flats or projects being sold off. So, even in those where the intention was not a problem, the key problem is wherever, and Amrapali is an ideal case, everybody has read about the various orders of Honorable Supreme Court in that particular case. Ultimately, the question which arises from a public perspective is, this is a purely individual contract with a builder. To what extent could you go to get money outside of the system, which could be the authorities' dues not being paid, or taxpayers' money being utilized indirectly or directly, to get those projects completed to be delivered. Now, this is one issue which I'm sure that was the realization why Honorable Supreme Court subsequently did not take up any of the further projects on the same lines. So I'm very positive about RERA, but I think we have to be very careful as far as the manning of that particular regulator, as in any other regulator. If you get the right people, the instruments are there, you can deliver. If you are not very careful with it, and I think selecting regulators should be a crucial component of whichever regulator are we looking at. So I think I'm not sure whether I answered.
No, sir,
but
you have answered
thanks
perfectly,
to Mr. Khandelwal's absence and Mr. Anand's
No,
physical
Anand,
absence.
Sir is there.
No, he's mentally with us, but
Mentally
physically
with us.
he's not here with us. So I took advantage.
You, sir, just mentioned about the adjudicating mechanism and referred to the disposal of cases. I must say that in the last 7 years, authorities throughout the country have disposed of more than 1 lakh cases. And credit goes to Rajive sir, because under his leadership, UP RERA has disposed of more than 35,000 cases till date. So, Anand sir, I'm coming to you on this issue itself. RERA Act refers to an adjudicating mechanism and a grievance redressal forum to the promoters and the buyers. Earlier there used to be Consumer Protection Act and the General Civil Law, where the promoters and the buyers could go for redressal of their grievances. So, sir, my question to you is, how do you think that how RERA has fared in addressing the grievances of promoters and buyers, and if there are any roadblocks in redressing their grievances, and do you have any opinion about the lack of sufficient power in the authority to implement its orders? Over to you, Anand sir.
Thank you, Ajay ji, and very good morning to you and Rajive sir and all the participants. I would definitely say that after RERA, RERD Act, I would say that Real Estate Regulation Development Act has come into being. We have been able to adjudicate, we means real estate regulatory authorities, various complaints at a faster pace than the other similar institutions, because we do follow a summary mechanism, and we try to deliver our judgments at the earliest possible. Having said that, there are parallel mechanisms which are available to various complainants, which can go for redressal of their grievances, like you said about the consumer forums. But the problem is that a person who has come to RERA, he also goes to a consumer forum, and he also goes to maybe NCLT or other courts. So he also sometimes indulges in forum hunting. Having established my personal views, I'm again saying my very personal view is that having set up a specialized authority which can look into the problems and complaints relating to real estate sector, I think the, the whole thing that the complaint should be addressed only by this authority and not by others. Today, as the Honorable Supreme Court has said, that they can go to any person having a complaint on the real estate sector cannot go to other forums. So, Honorable Supreme Court has rightly adjudged that as on the today's scenario, given the laws what we have in the country, a person can go and redress his complaint whether in the consumer forum or RERA or NCLT or elsewhere. But the fact remains that yes, there is a time where having established real estate regulatory authorities, we should have one body for the uniformity adopted in kind of adjudication and giving the judgments. Now, I would like to give you an example that in one particular case where we were adjudicating and we were looking into the total aspects that how the project should succeed, what kind of concessions should be given to the builder, or what kind of conditions we should impose on the builders, so that, or what kind of conditions we should put on the allottees, and we can make or we can see that the project is successful. But then some of the complainants went to another forum, and then there was a bar on the total selling of the inventory, because consumer forum does not see from the totality, from the very comprehensive way, the way RERA looks into. So I think there is a need to look into this aspect, that what should be done, whether all real estate complaints should go to RERA or it should continue to go to various forums. This is one. Number two, as Mr. Rajive Kumar has said, that yes, after RERA has come, RERD has come into being and real estate regulatory authorities have been set up, we have been able to put a very close watch on various projects. And I'm very happy to share with you, and as you are aware, that after the projects which have been conceived and are being implemented after the Act came into being, they are doing fairly well. And legacy projects are pre-RERA era. So while we are trying to revive the legacy projects, we also keep a very close watch on the projects which have been conceived and which have been registered with RERA post RERD Act. And I think most of the RERA is doing a good job by keeping a close watch on this and protecting the consumers and interest of the consumers and allottees. Coming to the third thing which you said about that whether we have been successful in our implementing our orders. Unfortunately not, because though while looking into the complaint we follow civil procedure code, but we have not been given, when we talk about the real estate authorities have not been given the powers of the civil court. So whenever we have to get an execution done, we have to get it done either through the district collector or the SDM or the revenue authorities. And this is something which again there has been a demand from various quarters that RERA should be given more powers, and RERA should be given the powers of the civil court, so that whatever orders are passed by the authorities, they should be able to implement in toto, in letter and spirit. So this is how I react to the questions you have raised, Mr. Kuhar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, I think some question has come to you.
I think there is a question which has been raised, that which was won, but the consumer has not yet been No, Anand, you are very much here.
You are here, sir.
You have something more to say?
Come on. He is not able to hear us.
So the question here is that for the project,
Is it fine, sir? Can you hear now, sir? Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Inka question.
You can continue.
Okay. So
Hello?
this is one of those.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Take it, sir. Right.
This is one of those cases where apparently the project is not complete, and there is an order in favor of the buyer, and there is an issue relating to implementation of that order. Now, as I mentioned, that different states have been following different methodologies here, but there is a provision where under section 63, the buyer can file a complaint with RERA for compliance, and a follow-up is done at that level. And by and large, except for those stalled old projects that I mentioned earlier, where the buyer is out of pocket and also the project is not complete, most of the other matters we have been able to resolve. In some cases by filing a recovery certificate with the DM, which is reviewed periodically by the district authorities and at the senior level, and we also review that. Or the other mechanism is that lot of cases an appeal is filed in the appellate authority, and in case that order is not complied, there is a 3-year jail term where the punishment of 3 years can be given to the builder. So there is a 2-step process. The first step initially is to file a complaint under section 63 of non-compliance. And in case there is any follow-up, I would be around for a while. Okay. So we have a little time. If there are
Any other questions?
Our very competent compare is not yet here. So it seems that
No, Mr. Anand is
Okay.
he has to put some. Sir, boliye, sir.
I can't hear you.
Again,
Unmuted. You'll have to unmute again.
he's not able to hear.
Thank our esteemed panel, Shri Rajive Kumar, Shri Anand Kumar, and Shri Ajay Kumar Kuhar for illustrating the journey of RERA in bringing out the transparency and at the same time giving us a very honest analysis of the regulatory authority. Thank you so much. Thank you.